great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where are you off to now?
Actually, this is my mobile vessel of podcasting. I have a day job as an IT technician for a school district.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so this is my place of I spend enough money on my car, so it should be my studio, I guess.
Yeah. I've done quite a bit of work with the school districts, and I know the challenges you go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great work. There's nothing like being in buildings where there's young heartbeats. You
Yes.
see all the dreams that are starting out. It's like it's a really magical place to be. So,
Yes.
and I happen to be in one of those very fortunate places where I walk in for about 10 seconds to 5 minutes to fix something and I'm the hero.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of sweat, blood, and tears that go behind those 5 minutes. I know that, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
when some. I mean, I remember when it's attendance time, and a couple of times the system goes down. Like, there's hell to pay because those are critical times for students and teachers and whatnot. So, yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's great to meet you. And before we get into this, I want to know the last 3 years with COVID's been quite a thing for all of us. It's worked on all of us in a different way. I'm curious how you survived that time period and how it's changed the way that you live your life and conduct business now.
Um, you know, mostly it affected my personal life. So as it has for a lot of people. So I went through a separation through COVID, but that's a separate story. Professionally, what I found was I have been working remotely since 2001. So it didn't really change my world as much. But what I noticed was the world around me changed so much, where a lot of people were so resistant to technology, so resistant to working remotely. They were resistant to trust anybody, like no deals whatever signed until you meet them for dinner or lunch and shake their hand, look them in the eye and whatnot. And now people were open to all of that, right? Even so, I have done a lot of work in healthcare, and I remember getting into very, very intense discussions about why we are not able to do like e-prescriptions or visit the doctor online. And there was always like security concerns, privacy concerns. And when COVID hit, like, within 2 weeks, like, you could pretty much expose yourself to the doctor and over the phone, and everything was fine. So this this resistance was basically not a resistance, a real resistance. It was just human resistance to change, I believe, which was overcome by an event like COVID.
Yeah.
So uh, for us who are in technology, we know technology is not evil. Technology is here to help us. But I think that realization came very, very quickly to people who don't work in technology. That's sort of what changed, in my opinion.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do. If I put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids, let's say third graders, one
Yeah.
of the kids looks up and asks, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
So I improve lives through technology. That's the bottom line. Like, I help people learn things faster. I help them heal faster. I help them perform in their business faster. Whatever that problem they are dealing with, as an individual, as a group, as society, we look at technologies and say, okay, how can we solve this? And obviously, my area of specialty has become now AI. I've been in AI for about 15 years. I have 4 patents in artificial intelligence. I was just voted as one of the global thought leaders in AI, top 500 thought leaders in AI. So that is my sort of choice of tool. But that being said, like, I have expertise in blockchain, cloud computing, mobile, building infrastructure for large corporations like Microsoft, IBM, working with hundreds of startups. So, I'm a community leader at a startup Vancouver, which is a community of about 2,500 startups. So basically, the idea is to, just open up uh, the the benefits of technology for everyone, and also push technology's boundaries itself to see what else we can do, what innovations we can bring to the world.
So I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to put you in the third grade. What did
Mm.
you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be an astronaut.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
I love space, and even now I love space. But then around fifth grade, sixth grade, I realized how much physics I had to learn. So I was like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's always that reality check when you have a
yeah,
dream when you're a kid, but you are doing something very hard that's very much so like space for sure.
yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go back to your childhood. Tell me where you were born and raised, and there's seeds that are always put in us that are planted to become who we are. How did you grow into who you are? How did technology become your focal point?
Great question. So yeah, I was born in India in a very very small town. So back then obviously India was developing nation. They have made good progress now, but in a small town still not a lot of opportunities, not a lot of prospects. So I didn't have a good education, like a stellar education or anything like that. Started working at 15 in a factory for $2 a day, um, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And that was difficult, very difficult life. And I wanted to improve my life. I wanted to do something better with my life. And one day during lunch hour, I was going flipping through some business magazines, and I saw these stories of these tycoons who have made it big, made huge corporations. And I realized, there's not much difference between them and me as a human being. And so that was a seed planted in me to figure out solutions uh, to big problems. First of all, my big problem to change my life. And about science and technology, like in the factory, it was all machines doing the work in a synchronized manner, producing huge quantities of widgets every day. And if one thing breaks, the whole assembly line used to stop. And so that was the seed planted in me about technology, about that synchronized symphony that technology plays in the world, that if one thing stops, everything stops. And then the other thing was how to scale things. I mean, you can create a masterpiece, but you cannot scale creating masterpieces. So it's like, how do you create really good work with high quality, high precision, with high scale? Because in that factory, we used to produce industrial fasteners, and these fasteners support bridges, buildings, large, large structures. So if they are not precise, that puts other people's lives in danger, right? So the sense of responsibility you feel, even with a small nut or a bolt that goes into large building, those are the seeds that were planted very early on.
Excellent. So, in this path that you've had in life, who's been a role model or a hero for you?
Well, the first role model, obviously, my dad. Obviously, as a young blood, you sometimes you revolt against the parents, but later in life you realize, the value they were trying to instill in you. So my dad, he actually owned the factory. He raised me as a factory worker to show me how difficult life can be and how you have to figure things out on your own. And he never supported me, never, like, he said, okay, you figure it out on your own. And so at that point I resented it. Like, I really hated that life. And later on I realized, what seeds he planted in me. So he was a, it's a love hate relationship I have with my dad, but those are the seeds. And then I've had so many other role models. I've had role models, like I work with some of the biggest names in the world now. I work with Olympic champions. I work with Fortune 500 executives, and each of their stories is an inspiration to me. How they have overcome the difficulties, how they have overcome. Everybody has a story, and so those stories are a very good teacher for me. I think those, if I were to point out one thing, those are the stories that are my role model, because I now feel that we pick up a little bit of from each story, and then each story is a piece of the puzzle in our own life.
Yep, it's like the sky at night full of stars. All of it just adds up to, a universe,
Yeah,
It's great.
exactly. Yeah.
So, if you've been referenced by Bill Gates and Barack Obama, you've met all kinds of interesting people in your life. Is there somebody that is on this planet alive right now that you would love to meet and spend time with?
Elon Musk for sure.
Okay.
Elon Musk, not for like the glamorous purposes, but I just want to see like his mind works very differently. So I want to ask a few crazy questions and see, tap into his mind and see like, okay, how can others adopt similar thinking? It's like a superhuman thinking almost.
It's interesting. I've heard people talk about AI getting to a point where there might be a device that could monitor thoughts from
Yeah, yeah,
humans.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, A, do you think that's possible? And how destructive do you think that could possibly be for people?
Absolutely possible. It's already here. Actually, there are devices available right now who can, which can monitor the thoughts of like a person in, like a paralysis, and it can help them sort of,
Gosh,
function. Like they can move the mouse and interact with the computer and all that stuff. So it's already there. I mean, medical imaging has already been like, they've been scanning the mind for a long time.
yeah,
So the eventuality is the fusion of human mind with technology. There's no doubt about that.
yeah,
And I used to think it's like 30 years away, 50 years away, but now I see what's happening. It's like maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years away.
yeah,
So that's the eventuality. Uh, Destructive, not at all. Technology. If we look at human evolution, modern humans have been around for 200,000 years. The thing that has helped us to survive and thrive on this planet is technology. The first entrepreneur or first technologist was the caveman who figured out that instead of killing small animals, I can kill an elephant or a woolly mammoth, and I can just lay low for about 30 days. But for that, I need to build technology to get a lever and push a big rock down a mountain and hit the big mammal at the right time at the right place, and I'm good, right?
yeah.
So from there onwards, you see the advent of technology. Of course, technology can be used for bad purposes, but if we rely on the good of humanity, 95% of people are good.
Yeah.
So if 5% of people use technology for bad purpose, that's I think that's the ingredient we need for growth anyways. Like, if everything was good, species as a species, I find humans are also lazy. So if there is no impetus for growth or to change things, we'll just be chilling out in our caves right now and not doing much of growth.
Status quo for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you're a wise person. You've been around a lot. And I'm curious if you were to have a dream tonight and run into a younger version, a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on what you've lived through and the wisdom you've gained, what would you tell that young version?
What I will tell them is like everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be okay. There's no need to be anxious. There's no need to have negative thoughts. If somebody says you're not good enough, you this is their perspective, and you don't need to get triggered by it. You don't need to respond to it. You can just smile and say, okay, that's your perspective. I respect it. Thanks a lot, and move on.
So, as a highly driven person as you are, there's so much that you've accomplished in your life. What is a daily motivator? We get out of bed, we have these things that keep us awake and propel us forward. What is that for you? What's been a consistent motivator for you?
Uplifting humanity. Like as I said, like I come from nothing, and now I see where I have reached, and I see so many other people with so much more potential, and they are like bottled up by society, by their upbringing, their like whatever, like millions of problems. So my drive is to unlock all that hidden potential in people. Like it's like waiting to be discovered, and my personal mission in life is to help 20 people win the Nobel Prize.
That's wonderful. As obviously a brilliant thinker as you are, art's a big part of who we are. And I'm curious, what was that book, that painting, that music? What was the art early on in your life that really made you like opened up portals to you and made you think in a different way?
So art, I appreciate art, but I will say what really shifted my mindset was listening to uh some some people call them spiritual gurus, or like those type of people, but really it was not religion, it was not like spirituality, but just realizing the power of the mind. Like if you start thinking positively, if you start to like really hone in and say, okay, this is what I want to do, no matter what, come hell or high water, I'm just going to do it. um that's what shifted my trajectory most. And once you realize that the mind is so powerful, then you start to venture into all these other areas like art. Now, I visited the Louvre Museum last month, and saw Mona Lisa and a bunch of other paintings. I was like so inspiring. So like those painters probably spent 5 years of their lifetime making that painting, but they are like now remembered for centuries. So they have become immortal.
Yeah.
But that spark was that, you know, I'm not gonna just wing it. I'm not gonna just like, just make a painting and say, oh, I'm a painter now. But I'm gonna look at each and every detail of this painting, the shade and the brush strokes and I'm gonna like really get into. I will become the painting, and that's yeah.
That it's interesting you talk about opening up your mind. I remember one time I'm a visual artist and I had a garage sale. So people would come and get paintings and they would just donate money. And I remember a guy came by at one point and I had a weeping willow in my front yard and he did too. And he manicured it. He gave it a really nice bob and we were talking about it. Well, we got off on a tangent and he talked about how someone he knew or a story he heard, somebody overcame cancer by positive thought. They opened themselves up and chambers into their mind and things they didn't know were possible. And I think about that story a lot with human potential, how we, in certain cases, not all of them, can actually go against the grain of disease that attacks
Absolutely.
the human brain.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think everybody can do it actually, but it takes a lot of courage, lot of like persistence, and that's what people lack, I think. Because, and again, it's not their fault. It's just how we have been conditioned and whatnot, and that's what drives me to help them using technology to open up their mind and open up, because we can only listen to so many positive thoughts, only like people don't want to be lectured. They want systems, they want frameworks, they want results, right? And technology can make it easier for them.
So, of all of the things that you've seen and accomplished in your life, what are you the proudest of?
um uh well, I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of who they are becoming. I'm proud of the 10 million lives that I have been able to impact, improve their lives. I'm proud of I mean, there's so many ups and downs. You go through life. Every new avenue that opens up is like, oh, I didn't realize that's what's going to happen. But if I were to say that, like, we've helped millions of students get better education through the systems we built, through AI, uh, uh, AI algorithms we built. We helped so many people not drop out of their university courses, and somewhere along the line, even one single life impacted, I'm proud of that. And we have impacted so many. So I will just say, like, that impact of what it will do for the future generations, how it will help humanity thrive, that's something to be proud of.
So, of all of the things that you have done and accomplished, what's been the best success story, a fan letter, something that stands out?
Um, Definitely the project that we did for university, which basically was an AI platform to help students not drop out of the university courses. And that's a big problem. 30% of the students drop out in the first 2 years. And that program got recognized by Obama and Bill Gates. And yeah, I mean, like, getting these endorsement from some of the most powerful people in the world, some of the smartest people in the world, like, there was I mean, that was like a, I could not even imagine
Yeah.
that was possible. Yeah.
So, of all of the people that exist in your life, we all have certain pockets of people that we deal with, family, friends, colleagues, clients. They all have a perception of who we are, but you drive the bus. You're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
um well, I still think I am the same person who used to work in that factory trying to figure things out. Now the problems have become bigger, the resources are bigger. Um, People who can help me. There are more people who can help me, but it's the same mind of, this is a big problem. How do I solve it? How do I get to the next step? So yeah.
That's wonderful. If anyone out there wants to learn more about you and what you're doing and really tap in deeper into everything revolving around your world, where can they go on the web?
So they can just go to my website, Manuj Aggarwal. So it's my first name and last name.com, or they can connect with me on LinkedIn, and tell me that they heard me on this podcast, and I'll be happy to solve any of their problems.
I love it. This is great. I totally love the modern thinking, the AI machine. It's fascinating. I actually have been dabbling in with the AI art, and it's crazy the kind of things that come up and that are generated. And it really, I've heard more about AI lately than I have in a long, long time, and it's really getting more prevalent.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey man, thank you for making the world a better place. You're a fascinating cat. Thank you for your time, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Best of luck. Take care.